I respect that. Shut your mouth. I don't want your respect. Why does Fisk want you dead? Did he hire you to kill Foggy Nelson?
You hear that? Outside. That is the roar of the jungle, counselor. Is that what I am to you? An animal? One of them? Because that's what this is all about, right? Who's the predator and who's the prey? But I have questions too.
Everyone thought you were just a shooter on a rampage, didn't they? Yeah, settling scores, getting vengeance. But it wasn't, was it? You did it for someone, huh? You did it for Fisk, didn't you?
Another night in here, I might never be able to answer that for you.
Oh, sweetheart, what do you want me to do? You want me to get you out? You want me to file an appeal?
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Becky.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, found on Disney+. And this episode, we're covering episode 8, which is entitled Isle of Joy. So, Becky, do you want to give us the title and synopsis?
Yep, it's Isle of Joy, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And the synopsis is, at his inaugural black and white ball, Mayor Fisk tightens his grip on New York City.
Yeah. And it literally, the episode, I like it for the fact that it centers around Matt, his turmoil, dealing with Poindexter, as well as the issues that we're following up on about Foggy and his death.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Fisk pushing his task force and dealing with the commissioner all at the same time, as well as Vanessa. So this is, to me, this was one of those where people would get lost. But if you're really embraced in the idea of the story of what's going on and where it's leading to, because we're at almost the end game of this particular series for the season at this point. So I think we have about 2 more episodes of this particular season. I could be wrong. I did not look ahead, everybody. So, yell at me if you want. But the thing is that it's kind of a buildup, and it's very much reminiscent to the buildups that we got in previous Daredevil shows when they were on Netflix, or even a lot of what was the Marvel Netflix series that were out there. So they kind of built them up very slowly, and we got little to no action, or there's action and there's no action at all, and it's all story, plot. And some people would be like, I'm falling asleep. Or they want to binge watch it. And with Netflix, you could. With this, it's episodically. So This is where everybody gets, either they fall off or they decide at the last minute, because what was it, a week and a half ago that we got 2 episodes drop at the same time. Boom. It just dropped right on Disney+. And you're like, wait, what happened? We got 2 episodes? And then that's what shocked me too. And I think it's because one was shorter than the other, and they said, all right, let's do this. So that way it keeps people up to speed of what's going on and fulfill their appetite for the show, because they already got them in their grasp. They got their talons in them. They hooked them in. Yeah. So with me, I'm already embraced into it because I love the idea of the show. I love the character, and the way the character is presented in the MCU is pretty much the underdog, the lower tier hero, and they're doing everything within their job as well as being a hero, a vigilante at this point. So, and we're also being set up with other characters in the show that we've seen before too, because we already got a taste of, Frank Castle, and we know he's coming back. And it's all the anticipation of Frank coming back, because all of those fans of Punisher are going to be like, yes, he's coming back. But you're going to see him side by side with Daredevil. But that was the anticipation and what I loved about this episode, because we know what's coming. But there's certain events that happen within it that I paid attention to that I did like. So, Becky, what were things that you liked in a general thought?
Overall, I liked like you were talking about, the build up. I think this episode started. I feel like this was we had a lot of, throughout the previous episodes, you had some moments of intensity, but this entire episode I felt Matt's anguish and war with himself, and Fisk's just flat out settling right back into the role of Kingpin. The Vanessa and Fisk storyline is it's ratcheting up, and I loved it. And I thought, Heather really showed up more into the forefront. Overall, it was just a really intense episode from start to finish, and I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of points when there's a lot of friction between him, Matt, and Heather during this, as well as Wilson and Vanessa. And that is what are the cool points that we're going to wind up talking about, I think. And then on top of that, there's going to be points about Poindexter. What happens with him within this. We have not seen him for a while at this point, but now we're seeing him in prison. And I will move right into the idea of Poindexter at this point. We do get to see Poindexter in prison, and Matt does take a visit to him regarding his involvement and what was going on, why he was attacking them. It comes out, spoilers, and we said spoilers, everybody. Spoiler review. So we know that he was hired out as a reason to go after Foggy. And he confronts Poindexter in the prison, and he winds up smashing his head into the table, which is un-attorney-like. And in any way, this is not Matt by any means. This is usually Daredevil.
Well, I'd kind of like to go back a little bit and build up to that point, because I think there's important things that happen that lead to him going to see him in the jail and all that taking place. So we start with him, and I like, and that's Bullseye, right?
Yes, that's Bullseye. And to give you guys a little bit of a clue, you listeners and those true comic fans out there, the blue hint and hue, the flower in the very beginning, is an alluding to of Bullseye because of his coloring on his costume. It's a blue costume. So anytime you see that blue hue, it's pointing out directly. And if you could go back and watch it, you'll see it come out in prison when he gets into Gen Pop, or when he attacks the doctors and things of that nature. You get that blue hue behind him. That is pointing him going into that mindset of being Bullseye. And he's not in his right mind.
No, he's definitely not.
Yeah, so that's a little bit. I like that whole Enya style music, though, in the very beginning with the flower blossoming, and then you see it, and then it's that blue hue, and it goes right to the prison.
Yeah, so the music, especially but start and finish, was really, really good.
Yeah.
But so he gets moved into Gen Pop, and that was not his agreement, and it's evident that the cops, what do they call police,
the task
work
force
in a jail.
Well, oh yeah, you're talking about all the
correction
guards,
officers,
correctional
I guess.
officers and guards that are there in the prison. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care, and they were set on this journey to literally set him up to get killed by the other prisoners.
Yeah, because I was very not knowing the full history of the first series. I haven't finished it yet, y'all. I'm working on it.
She's working on season 2, everybody.
Yeah,
so she's got one more season.
Absolutely loving it. But I wrote here in my notes, did Fisk, I thought Fisk did that to rile up Daredevil because he knows Matt is Daredevil and Foggy was Matt's best friend and partner. So that was my first thought.
Correct.
But then as the story moves along and we have, you have that conversation with Matt and is it Kristen, his attorney friend?
Yes.
And that led to one of my favorite moments is when we get to see Josie again.
Yes.
That was way cool. And then she brings out the whiskey saying that Foggy was drinking that. And that's when the light bulb goes off with Matt. Yeah. That he's like, oh crap. Foggy knew he was going to win. Mm-hmm. So somebody hired Bullseye to kill him. And of course, it automatically goes to Fisk, which I did too.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we're, in the prison and he goes to see him. And like you said, before even getting there, that conversation that he had with Kristen, mm-hmm. where he's talking about, we put him in jail and it didn't matter. We followed the law of justice and it didn't matter. And so you can see him shedding less and less of Matt and becoming more and more almost like full-time Daredevil at this point.
Exactly.
So then we get to the jail where you were discussing him slamming his face into the table and just shouting, F you. Like he's reached the point of I love how they continue to parallel Matt's breaking point and Fisk's breaking point, but they're both very opposite situations.
They're battling themselves of being who they truly are is literally what it is. They want to be something else that they are aiming for good and best, but they are falling back on their hero or villain ideals. And that would be Fisk being the Kingpin and Matt being Daredevil and the vigilante that he is. So it's a nice build-up in writing and how they're doing it with the acting and the writing. And I really do enjoy that. A lot of shows take it for granted, but a lot of viewers would find this as, oh, this is a slow build-up. I don't want this. But this is how the magic works, everybody. This is how we get into season 2. And this is how at the very end of the season, we do get to see it. Like in season 1, Matt putting on the costume, getting the horns, the hood, the mask, all that good stuff. And coming into Daredevil as we know. But that's why it's called Born Again. It's him being born again into this particular hero. And I love what they're doing with it. It's kind of a Dick Miller kind of style writing, and it's slow and it's moving, but in comics, kids would enjoy it because they would still get the character in costume, but and the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and stuff like that. But in this case, when it comes to TV and drama and film, they have to do this to make it work at its best. And they saw what the magic was. They saw the chemical mix that they put together in Netflix, and they put these things, shook it all up like a cocktail, and then poured it out for us to drink, but sip it and then just take it in episode by episode. And I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, and I think they've done a phenomenal job with it. There's not been one episode that I've been bored. And I know a lot of people want more in costume
Yeah.
Daredevil situations, but I think the fact that they pulled him out of the costume and are showing, the conversation he had with Heather where she's was struggling with the fact that she killed Muse, and she basically has gone very Fisk-esque with her thoughts on all vigilantes are bad. Doesn't matter if it's Daredevil, doesn't matter if it's Muse, they're all bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that kind of grating on him. And then he's trying to separate her from his secret life, so to speak.
Yes.
But then, Fisk shows up or what's his name? I always forget that guy. I've got to do better. Bucky shows up at his door with an invitation. So it's just Fisk just kind of digging in. But every one of those things and every reaction Matt has is causing her to, it's driving a wedge in their relationship. But it's not just happening at home, it's happening at work. And we're getting to the point where he cannot separate Matt and Daredevil like before.
Yeah, even Cherry points that out at the bar too.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really, I loved seeing that whole thing, and I love that we're getting, Daredevil without the costume. I love how you're watching, him morph back into this person he worked so hard to put behind him.
Yep.
And he doesn't need the suit to be that guy. So it's I've just loved all of that build up with him fighting with his coworkers, him fighting with his girlfriend, and him fighting with Poindexter, and then it all blows up at that amazing party. So we can.
Yeah, I know exactly. We would talk about that. It's like the fact that Matt was told that Poindexter was be putting into Gem Pop, I thought was an interesting thing, and by Kirsten himself, and that was a nice plot point overall. But Poindexter wants to meet with Matt to represent him of all things, and Poindexter is pointing out it's like you're going against what you're supposed to do for your client. And you could see the anger in Matt, and that's what triggers and fuels his anger toward Poindexter, because you kill my friend, you kill my friend. He wanted to know if it was Fisk that did it. And he doesn't really get it out there. And then they wind up taking Poindexter away. And then we get the lovely transition, like with Poindexter going into Gem Pop, but he's also in with the doctors at that point because he got attacked.
No, he did get attacked. He got his face slammed into a desk by Matt, so he had to go get stitches. And while in there, he literally, that was one of the most badass scenes I've ever seen, where he literally pulls his own tooth sitting in that chair and kills a man with it.
Yes.
Wow.
Better than Colin Farrell. Better than Colin Farrell in the original Daredevil with Ben Affleck, honestly. That was amazing. And the fact that you get that blue hue coming up from behind him during that scene to show it's like a trigger. It just points out this is who he is. And then he's already set point. He gets away from the prison. He escapes the prison by literally making himself look like a prison guard to leave. And
I loved it when the other correction officer is like, rough day, just kind of grins and tosses his head up like, yeah, rough day. And we knew where he was going. We knew he was headed to this party.
That ball. How he knew is another story, but that also points very much in place of who hired him originally to go after Foggy.
And that was a big reveal.
That was a huge reveal.
Let me tell you this.
Go ahead.
Or do you want to go back to Fisk and Vanessa early before the party to bring us to the end of the episode?
No. I want to talk about Cherry and Josie and Matt.
Okay, go ahead.
Because it was a specific whiskey that was expensive that Foggy had ordered.
No, it wasn't expensive. It was crap whiskey.
Really?
I thought, isn't that okay? If I'm remembering correctly from season 1,
okay,
they couldn't afford the good stuff, so they drank that crappy whiskey that was their celebratory whiskey. Whenever they did something good, that was the whiskey that they drank.
Interesting.
And that's how, when Josie said he ordered a bottle of that, he ordered that he never finished his drink. And Matt's like, no, he wouldn't order that. And she's like, no, he did. And he was like, okay, well, he was celebrating because he knew he was going to win. That's why he was drinking.
I gotta look up the cost of this old Mulvaney's.
I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, it's crappy.
The person that would know best is not here right now, and I'm sorry, Mr. C. Brown's not here. He loves his whiskey. He loves his bourbon. He would know. So, Steve, where are you?
All right, so here, I just Googled it.
Go ahead.
Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson share a special O'Melvany's whiskey, a fictional brand that they save for celebratory occasions. Specifically, they enjoy this whiskey after winning cases and also after Foggy's death. In episode 3, Matt and Heather drink after the verdict. The post also, so it was a post on X, but also mentions that the 20-year-old bottle they drank from after graduating law school.
That is, yeah.
So, okay, maybe you're right. It's fancy.
It's supposed to be a little bit fancy from my understanding. And that was like the idea. And that's what always triggered me, because it also triggered Matt saying he was celebrating his win because he knew right away from the bottle, because Josie was just like, we got to finish this bottle because, Foggy had bought it. And it's only in good time that we do this right now. It's kind of like a Highlander moment. Everybody, I don't know if you guys love Highlander, but I'm a huge Highlander fan. But anyhow, they do that, and that's what triggers Matt, and he realizes it. I just love that moment for the fact that it shows that Foggy connection and that representation of Foggy still in I'm still in that whole I got to think, are they pulling a fast one on us? Maybe Foggy's not dead.
I could not help but think about that, because this was a Foggy heavy episode.
Well, I think I mentioned it last episode that there was a trade paperback or a series where Foggy faked his death. So if they do that in this, that would be, oh my God, a comic book fan's dream, who actually bought that series back in the day, everybody. But it's like a kind of cool twist. But it would really mess up Karen Page and Matt at the same time. And to see Foggy to come back. But we'll see. We don't know. And in this podcast, we don't get, screeners. We don't get all that cool stuff and fancy stuff. We watch it episodically like you guys. But with this one, I did enjoy it. Becky did enjoy it. But there was another point you were coming up to, too, about the ball. The ball was very interesting, and I do like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I loved the ball. But before we get there, I want to go start at the early scenes of Fisk and Vanessa.
Ooh.
Because that to me led up to one huge statement that happened at the ball. I want to see if when we get there, I want to see if you caught it like I did.
About the Red Hook project? And her dealing with Luca?
Adam. Her dealing with Adam. And then a statement she and Fisk made together at the ball.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll get there. I swear, y'all stay with me. Because when I say it, you're going to be like, oh, snap, I saw that too. All right. So we see them and they're walking and they're having a conversation, and it's evident he's taking her somewhere that the end result was very different than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But this whole time he's talking about how he did not acknowledge her for all the work that she'd done while he was quote unquote away.
Correct.
And she's like, well, I think you're throwing all of this away. And he goes into his conversation about change. But then he basically takes her down and she sees Adam. And the way Vanessa kept her
composure,
oh my gosh, was so impressive, because I would have one little tick, and I think she could have set herself in a way that Fisk is like, okay, you've got to go. Because I'm still curious. I'm still certain he's got to have some idea
that they're screwing around.
Well, no, he knows that, but I'm talking about that she put the hit out on him with Luca.
Correct.
So she did a great job. And then the way he had his little confession moment, and she pulled out the gun and she shot Adam. And she didn't just shoot Adam to kill Adam. She shot him 3 times, twice.
She wanted to make sure the job was done.
Well, she shot him twice in like non-fatal places before she made the kill shot in the head, which I felt was was purposeful to show Fisk there are no feelings. When she said he's not between us and he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
She's hammering it home, but I don't believe her. She's pissed. I believe that was shocking to her, but she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it was like a game of chess, not only with like Matt and Fisk, but also with Vanessa involved too.
Yeah.
Vanessa has got her own board set up with Wilson as well, which is so weird because it's like they are meant for each other, but keep that in your own little world. Don't get other people involved, but wow, you're killing people at this point. That's why they were going to therapy with Heather.
Yeah. So when they get to the ball,
and
it's a black and white ball, which means you wear black and white.
Correct.
What color was Vanessa wearing when she walked in that door?
What was it? Was it red?
Red. And what color was Fisk wearing when he walked in the door? So what does the white represent? It's like light and good and
like
whatever.
He's the good guy.
So right. Yeah. And she is obviously the devil. So negative. When she walked in that red dress, I was like, okay, that is a very big statement. And then we find out when they're dancing together, the big reveal that it wasn't Fisk that hired them to kill Foggy because he was away.
Correct.
Quote unquote away. It was Vanessa.
Yep.
And it made she became at that moment, she became the devil. And it was
shocking to some degree to come to that realization. It's like, oh, because she could be just as evil as he can be. And yeah, we know that from previous seasons of the Netflix series too, everybody. And it was him. Honestly, it was Wilson's manipulation of Vanessa over the course of those seasons that created this particular person that we all see in Born Again. And it to me, it wasn't as shocking. I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Just saw it as I love visuals in shows.
I got you.
and to show her in that beautiful red dress and him in this bright white dress and all of these people around them I mean, it's obviously it's like a look at me standout moment, but it just red means so much.
Yeah.
And I thought whoever made that choice in
Well,
the
the costume,
writer's room
yep.
and the costume department,
Yeah,
I
that's
tip
really
my
what it
hat
boils
to
down
you
to.
because I think that was well done and said a lot.
Yeah, I agree. The ball is definitely a one because there's a lot of dancing, not just physical dancing on the floor with multiple different partners. There was a lot of dancing and conversation, and you could hear Matt was not. Well, Heather was not expecting Matt to show up. She shows
but
up
Heather
alone.
looked amazing.
She did look amazing, and Vanessa says, "Oh, you came alone? Yes. Well, we could fix that."
Yeah,
And
in
then,
a heartbeat.
in a heartbeat, yeah. And
She looks
then
great.
Matt showed up, and he kind of convinces, and they have this conversation. And it's kind of like a lover spat of, "You're not telling me the truth, this and that and the other," and he is not really paying attention like a lot of guys do in a relationship when the women are talking to them. Sorry, I have to say it. I'm a guy. I have to play that devil's advocate and say, yeah, sometimes we don't listen. Anyhow, he was too busy with his super hearing listening to Fisk talk to Jack and listen to that conversation and how Fisk is manipulating Jack and saying he knows he's the swordsman, wants to know where he stands. He won't put him like in the world knowing that he is the swordsman and doing these things and giving him that little nudge saying, "Hey, I need your support."
Right. And you're going to give it to me.
Correct.
And he's strong. He pulled so many people in. And I don't know if you noticed with him, with the dancing, so to speak, going on. I figured out who Catherine Lanassa's character is. Catherine Lanassa is on the pit for you guys watching. And she's Artemis Sledge. And her husband, did you notice when Jack went over to talk with her? And she was very shaky, very nervous. He's like, I didn't expect to see you here. Okay. And she's like, well, I wouldn't want to offend anyone. And he's like, why are you here by yourself? Where's Arthur, which is her husband? And she's like, I don't know. Do you know? So Fisk, I think Fisk has done something with her husband. Therefore, she's being strong-armed into doing the same thing Jack now has to do, and that's support him and give him the money that he wants. Yeah. So he's going through the bigwigs of New York and saying, my way or the highway. He's full on kingpin now.
Yeah, he's playing the mafioso that he is well known for as being kingpin, and he's utilizing that with his mayoral power that he has, and to manipulate people while he has that power, especially people who have power with money. And that's literally what he's doing at this ball. He's trying to get them in his corner. During this time, though, there is a dance, and within that dance, things come out between Vanessa and Matt, and her knowing, and just like it's kind of a lover spat of like, you're hiding things from me, you're doing this, you're doing that.
About Heather?
Yeah, Heather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Heather and Matt. Sorry if I said Vanessa. Sorry.
I was like, well, because Vanessa and Matt did dance together. But I was like, wait, is that a lover spat? Yeah,
but they did switch, and think about my dyslexic idea and thought. I kind of reversed it in my head and said it differently, but anyhow, they literally switch it up, and there's the talk between Heather and Fisk about Matt, and him saying about Matt's love of vigilantism. And then this all comes up from the conversation before with Matt and Heather about how you're always disappearing, you're doing this, and everything's adding up to Vanessa, to Heather at this time, while Matt is working and dancing around with Vanessa at the same time, and her going, "When are you going to tell Heather that you're Daredevil?" and blah blah blah. So she knew, and within that time, we're starting to see the build up, and the scene builds up with anticipation with the music cues, everybody, and visuals of Poindexter showing up with a gun as a guard, trying to shoot out something. And this is where it ends and it erupts at the end of the ballroom, where Matt winds up covering for Fisk.
I cannot believe it. But that just goes to show the difference in their mentalities.
Yeah, Fisk wouldn't do that for Matt in any
hell
way.
No. And Matt hates Fisk, but it goes to show that what Matt does, and the reason Matt does it, is he truly wants to bring good and justice into the city by taking out the bad. But part of that city that he loves are these bad people, and he does not want assassinations or things like that. He really wants them to be for justice, to take these people out, so to speak, not weapons. So when he jumped and took that bullet there, I don't know if the second time I watched it, I didn't focus on Matt. I focused solely on Vincent D'Onofrio's face. And he himself was like, wait, did he just do that for me? Like, it really kind of, the way he played it, I don't know what he's going to think afterwards. He might be like, that guy was an idiot. Why'd he do that?
Yeah.
But it almost like just a brief, like, wait, why did he do that for me? Like, he was confused and almost had respect for him for doing so.
Correct. Yeah. And I think Fisk always deep down, regardless of how much he hates Matt, has a respect for Matt in some way.
So he's got to.
Yeah. And
I thought.
Yeah. Good.
There, one scene when Vanessa and Fisk were dancing and Heather and Matt were dancing, and they were dancing around each other, and Fisk swirls Vanessa, and they're back to back. And he's talking in a very low voice, but he's talking directly to Matt because he knows Matt's honed in and listening.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was a very cool scene.
He knows Matt's hearing. He knows what Matt is capable of. And that's the whole thing. You know, that's, oh my God. It's like the How I Met Your Mother episode where they're able to talk at a certain point in the New York Museum of Natural History, where you could stand on one side and you could talk, and then someone on the other end could actually hear your conversation.
Yeah.
It's like how Matt's hearing is perfectly.
Yeah.
But it was Fisk.
It's cool.
Fisk's FU to Matt saying, "Here, I'm going to tell you this as I'm dancing with your partner." And do it's like, you jerk.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was definitely a cool scene. The fact that we do get to see Charlie Cox, I looked at some of the Instagrams because after the episode showed up, they showed all them. It was leg stretching on Instagram from the two actors, the ones that but Charlie Cox and the woman that plays Heather. They were like literally stretching their legs and everything else for whatever, because it was all dancing scenes.
Oh yeah, you gotta stay limber.
Yep. And I loved it, and it's like you could see the humor in the fact that they love doing what they do, and I highly recommend everybody to check out their Instagrams, or even the Marvel Studios Instagrams too, because they post them as well as Vincent D'Onofrio. You could tell there's a love for the show from the actors themselves, and that's what I truly admire, is the fact that they love what they're doing and what they're creating.
Yeah,
and they're really deep into their characters, and they love those characters and are so intimate with them. There was talk recently about how they mentioned something, but I'd never caught it. Something about Secret Invasion. And I did not catch that. So if you listeners have an idea of what that was referring to last episode or this episode, let us know. Because I was just like, oh, I didn't catch that. Where is it? So you guys let us know. There's all these rumorvilles that are going around, but you guys let us know. But yeah, those were my thoughts. I really did enjoy the episode. It left us off at a cliffhanger of all things, but will we get one episode next week or will we get two? And if we get two, oh my goodness, we're rushed.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna. I do have a few notes. I'm done with like main points, but I do have a few notes of things that I thought were of interest before we wrap up. So Fisk promotes Daniel to deputy mayor of communications, and BB is at the party or at the ball.
Oh, yes.
And she seems to I thought when it first happened, I was like, okay, she rather quickly made up with him. But then after the task force catches that reporter and fries his hand in the fryer, oh my God, that hurt me just watching it. And obviously the commissioner has no power. I loved his conversation with BB.
Yes.
And basically it looks like he's going to help her. And
at first he was speculative of her. He thought she was on Fisk's side.
Because of that, because she got threatened and wrote that article and he didn't know it. He didn't know that part.
Yep. And then he brings up that her father was killed, possibly through Fisk and all that. And then this was her idea or way of, and then she kind of resolves it saying, and then you can see it's like fingers pointing at each other, like, hey, you got me, I got you, you got me, I got you now.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really good and touching scene because it showed BB in a better light, and it showed BB in a sense of, instead of her just being a media mogul or running the news that we see in every episode, there's a point and a reason behind this. And we will see that ultimately soon.
Yeah. And she's carrying on her uncle's legacy. And I think the commissioner greatly appreciated that. But I was also really excited when the song changes and she's like, okay, I've got to go. I don't remember. I should have written it down. I don't remember exactly what she said. But basically, she's playing Daniel as much as Daniel thinks he's playing her. Yeah. And I like that because I was like, please don't. That guy's he's not good. No matter what he says, don't go making up with him. So I'm very glad that she's got that. So that was one point, and I think I had one point. That was it. I lumped them all into one. And then Vanessa ending therapy with Heather. I thought was very telling. I thought that was very telling for Heather, that she's like, okay, Matt may be lying to me about some things, but he's not lying to me about the Fisk people.
Yeah.
They're shady.
Yeah. But I think deep down, Heather knows that Matt is Daredevil anyway.
If she doesn't, she's going to very soon figure it out. But I feel like this episode, you could definitely see the light bulb in her head getting brighter and brighter.
Yeah, because Fisk kind of just like whispered it in her ear about how Matt's his admiration for vigilantes and how he's always disappearing and how he always stands up for the other man and for people, and then putting his life at risk. Yeah. So it's like, I think she's adding up everything slowly. And if it doesn't come next episode, it'll be in the final episode. And then who knows what the relationship will be after that.
I'm curious to see, though. I really like where they're headed. So I've got no complaints about this season at all.
Yeah, well, Matt has always had issues with women in the comics and in shows. Look at Karen Page.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
That's all the main points I had.
That's all the quotes and main points you had.
I do have quotes, but that's all the points I had.
I have all my points out as well. All I have is quotes left. So
okay, go ahead.
The first one I'll start off would be the man giving Heather the invitation to the ball from Wilson Fisk, and the way he says it is like, she is a municipal treasure.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
That sounds like something Fisk would say.
Exactly. You got one?
Oh, yeah. I got 3.
Go ahead. We'll alternate.
My first one is when Vanessa was ending therapy and looked at Heather and said, "The sins of the past are dead and buried for both of us," talking about her and Fisk. And I was like, she ain't lying.
That is true.
Adam is dead, and I'm assuming somebody buried him.
Well, he's swimming with the fishes, probably.
Yeah. Right. What's your next one?
Next one will be Matt to Kristen or Kirsten. It's like Kristen Dunst.
I'm not sure, but I'm with you. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name
Kristen.
either.
I sound like Deadpool. Kristen Dunst. I don't know. Anyhow, Matt to Kirsten or Kristen. We're not serving justice here. We're babysitting chaos. And after they meet up with the client about the teacher complaint case and what a scumbag he is, and he goes, "This is us. It feels useless."
Yes, that was one of mine. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, so my last one, it would be from the Great Fisk when he is coming clean about everything with Adam, and he looks at Vanessa and he says, "If I cannot be with you, Vanessa, I cannot be."
But that's always been Wilson Fisk, and that's how he is. I know.
I just love that.
He's very poignant in his thoughts, and D'Onofrio gets them across perfectly. His delivery is always excellent.
It was so beautiful. It was creepy in the moment because of the whole situation and their relationship. But I thought this, like, if some guy had said that to me, I would melt it into the floor.
I put Wilson Fisk, The Cell, the movie The Cell, with, if you all remember, with J-Lo in it. And what is it? Ooh, there's another one. I just had it on the tip of my brain. But anyhow, I put them in the top 10 or top 3 or top 5 of the Full Metal Jacket. There you go. Of like movies that D'Onofrio coined a particular character perfectly, and only he can represent.
Yeah.
And I think he has made a niche as Wilson Fisk for himself. Now, mind you, a lot of comic fans going, "He's not like in the comic." Well, I'm sorry, they're not going to find a ginormous person like that to be real in real life. If that were
I think he's perfect.
I think he's perfect for what he is and what he gives us. He doesn't have to be so huge. Michael Clark Duncan, I thought was great at what we got in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner and Colin Farrell. I thought, that representation of giving somebody of color like a different version of a Kingpin was amazing. But both, I really think that Vincent D'Onofrio and the writers have narrowed it down perfect to a niche. Yeah, it's kind of similar to what we got in the comic, and you got this crusty old white dude with a bald head doing this stuff and being a mafioso. But if Michael Clark Duncan was still around, I think he could have coined it perfectly for himself again.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I miss that man. I'm so sad that he's gone. But Vincent D'Onofrio has been killing it as his particular character and putting it to good work, I think.
I agree.
The last quote I have would be from Poindexter to Matt, and that would be, "In another life, you would be defending me, because that's what, what good men would do." And that was after Matt mocks Poindexter about defending him and getting him out of prison.
That's a good one.
It was during their little interaction when Matt smashes his head.
Yeah.
into the table.
That was whew.
Yeah.
Well, we said all my quotes, so
Yeah,
I'm
we got
good
everything
there.
out there.
Yeah.
All righty. So we kind of gave a little bit of like information for like comic news. I asked you guys to reach out to us about what Secret Invasion code was in there in the
Yeah.
last episode. I'm curious myself. I did not see it.
I didn't either.
Maybe I'm not a good podcaster anymore. I don't know. But I just thought I was just like, everybody keeps talking about it. I was like, what the? Oh, okay, whatever. But we got, movies coming out. Captain America Brave New World's coming out on digital release this week. So we're recording on April 11th. Hopefully you'll get this before then. But you could actually get it for a digital download, so you could purchase it for yourself if you didn't go to the theater. So, I highly recommend it. I found it entertaining in some way. Rob and I covered that the week it came out, and I had a good time. I really did enjoy the film. If you guys didn't, I understand and respect that, but there are a lot of people that didn't like the idea of Anthony Mackie as Falcon becoming Captain America. Me, I didn't mind it as much. We only have so many Avengers movies until that title changes. Just let you know, spoilers, because that's what happens in the comic. But what happens in the comic doesn't always happen in the MCU. So, but we're looking forward to getting the Thunderbolts soon. And we got more trailers out there. And oh my goodness, I kept rewatching them. I don't know if you guys have, but amazing. And there's a lot of thoughts about the new look of Doom with Robert Downey Jr. and what he's looking. He's letting his hair grow and go coiffy. Looks almost like Taika Waititi at times with his little coif going off to the side, poofy and long at the top and going off. And then they could do that. And I think that's a take on Doom from later comics within the new millennium. And I was not a big fan of that. To me, if I think of Doctor Doom, I think of the cape, the cowl, like the hood, and the silver mask and the silver stuff. Maybe we'll get a nod to that, and it'll be something different. And then when he comes out at the end, it's got that little weird mask that's going on, and then he plays around with the idea that, yeah, I do look like Tony Stark, and yeah, I was playing you guys. So that's more to look forward to and speculate when it comes to, Avengers Doomsday. And yes, there's going to be more and more actors coming out saying that they are in it. The Russo brothers are in charge of this venture at this point, but they did give us Infinity War and Endgame. So I'm looking forward to what we get. As far as podcast recommendations, I got a few. And as a lot of you know, that I've been on podcasts. We did Sandman Cast with Jamie and myself for Podcastka. I did not replay it here. I should have, but Jason has given me full carte blanche to do so for Panels to Pixels podcast when we do come back for season 2 of Sandman Cast, when they do release it. But my affiliation with Podcastka and everything, and I love Jason and all he does. All you have to do is go to podcastka.com and follow all the podcasts that are there. But the cast of us will be back this week, and they are covering The Last of Us. And to give a little bit of promotion for Jason Kabazi for podcastka.com, please go there and follow them and listen to it. They have great thoughts and reviews of per episodes, and The Last of Us is coming out on the 13th, everybody. Sunday the 13th. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to watch it. So
awesome. I am too. I'm very excited about that.
Yep. Anything you got?
Yep. I got 2 to recommend. One, speaking of Podcastica, check out the Handmaid's Tale podcast. The first 3 episodes dropped this week, and I stayed awake till 1 o'clock in the morning and watched every single one of them. But they've covered the they've already released their coverage of the first 3 episodes, and it was really good, really great coverage. So I highly recommend if you're watching The Handmaid's Tale. It's not really superhero related, but I guess you could consider June Osborne a superhero in a different way. But also, I want to recommend my dear friend Mandy with Dinner for Her, Women with Flavor. She just released her 2nd episode, and I listened to it today, and she makes me smile. It's so thoughtful, so informative, and she's picking great guests to be on with her. It's just so great. So you can find that on Pirate Core Entertainment. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Dinner for Her.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, Pirate Core Entertainment Podcast, everybody. You just search for that for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything. It's awesome.
What he said.
Yep, what I said. Anyhow, talking about podcast, if you guys are not watching it, Yellow Jackets, WTF on podcastica.com. Listen to it. Do it. Watch the new episode. Your mouth will drop. I guarantee it. It's the season finale. Everybody,
I have not seen it yet, and soon
Becky
as we
keeps
hang up from this podcast,
the microphone and the webcam right now at me, telling me no spoilers,
no spoilers. I'm watching it as soon as we hang up here.
Oh yeah. You know, lady, I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's
I know.
fine. I could
have
sent that to you earlier today if I wanted to.
I just like to be dramatic.
I know you do. Anyhow. So check that out. Check out their coverage on that. You could also check out the Marvel cast that is also covering Daredevil Born Again with Kirk Manley and his friend. And just check them out and listen to their thoughts as well as TV podcast industries with Derek, John, and their friends. We highly recommend other podcasts for you guys to listen to, not of what we just cover, but what you could also listen and be like, well, Mark, you're not as good as them, so we're going to listen to them.
I love listening to different podcast takes on, the same show, but different podcast views, because everybody's got something different to say or different feeling or a different vibe. So I think it's great to listen to more than one.
Yeah, it's if you have the time to listen to multiple throughout the day, perfect. Good for you. Me, if I had a job where I could just put on headphones and isolate myself from people and just do my work all day, I'd be awesome. I just don't have that at times. But I like to podcast in my spare time and talk to my friends about this stuff. That's why we're here, filling your ears with our gibberish, as I like to call it. Anyhow, with that, we did put out a little feedback picture for you on our Facebook page, and that's how you can get back to us. You can find us on facebook.com/panels to pixels, and what's on Facebook is on Instagram as well. So follow us on both, and I usually put an image saying this is the episode we're covering. It'll show you Daredevil, whatever, and Born Again episode 8, 9, whatever's going on. Whatever we're covering that week, leave your comments below. We didn't get any comments, and I understand that everybody's like, I like to listen, and trust me, I'm one of those. And on top of that, you could email us too if you want with your thoughts and ideas. And all you have to do is just send out a regular texted email at panelstopixels1@gmail.com. Panels 2 is spelled out TO, and then pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. And then you can write out your thoughts. We'll read it the next time we're on. Doesn't have to be about what we're doing currently. It could be something from way in the past. You could tell me, hey, Greedo shot first. I don't know. Anyhow, you could also record your voice and send that as an attachment. We'll play it. So that way it's as if you're on the podcast as well. We also get, comments through YouTube. So we have a YouTube page, and all you have to do is search Panels to Pixels Podcast. Literally Panels to Pixels Podcast. If you do Panels to Pixels, you'll get Josh. And I know he's pretty. He's got that lovely English accent. But Panels to Pixels podcast, and then subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and if you comment, I will get the email and we could actually read them. So those are ways for you to get in touch with us and give us your thoughts. We could be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast player of choice. So if there's obviously there are ratings and reviews. So if you could give us like a 5-star, it'd be greatly appreciated. But right now we also do other podcasts. So Becky, let us know. What do you do?
I can be heard here on Adrenaline Cinema podcast and on my very own podcast, What's On Tonight, where we, Mandy, who I mentioned earlier with Dinner for Her, she and I are currently covering The Pit. The season finale aired last night, and OMG, it's amazing. So we're sad and excited to get to cover that final episode, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do next until season 2 comes out. But please check us out at What's On Tonight on Facebook, Pirate Core Podcast, and Facebook. Did I say Facebook? I think I said Facebook.
You said Facebook.
Instagram, all that good, YouTube, all that good stuff. Give us a listen. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time.
Awesome. As always, you could hear me here on Panels to Pixels podcast, and like Becky had stated, Adrenaline Cinema podcast. We're going to continue our coverage with Daredevil Born Again, as always, until the very end. After that, we'll move on to the Thunderbolts, other movie reviews, probably go back in the well and look at older movies, depending on what comes out. For Adrenaline Cinema podcast, look for the movie Rad. My buddy Jerry Gomez said he wants to come back and finalize. He wants to finalize since the Planet of the Apes saga that we started way back when. So we're gonna do Conquest of Planet of the Apes from 1972. So look out for that. You can find me on the Pirate Core Music Podcast, on Pirate Core Entertainment Podcast as well. When my buddy Rob and I, at the end of the month, will be covering Iron Maiden, the band. We're just doing the whole band, everybody. So listen to our thoughts. That might be like a 2.5-hour podcast because Rob and I are huge fans. But anyhow, with that, I don't want to bore you anymore and let you know. But I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Becky.
Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. This was Panels to Pixels podcast. And we'll see you on the next panel. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.